Hello, welcome. So today's video, I'm going to be doing an Assassin's Creed game tier list. It's all personal preference, so don't get mad. I've been a lifelong fan of the series, so I've played all of these games multiple times throughout my life. So let's get into it. We'll do these in chronological order of release date. So we'll start off with the very first Assassin's Creed. Started the franchise. It's credible for its time, very unique. Not much was coming out anything like this at the time. Very unique story, but it is a product of its time. It's outdated. Apparently there's going to be a remake. I have no idea because of the state of Ubisoft at the moment. It's very bland, very repetitive just because it is the start of the franchise. So, I mean, you can't really hate on it too much. And lack of content, but this was meant to be a Prince of Persia game. And they decided to offset it into its own IP, which branched the entire series. And now we're, 13 mainline games in now, or something like that. So because of that, I will put it in full sync. On to the next, we've got Assassin's Creed 2. There's not really much to say. Large step up from the last game. One of the greatest trilogies of all time branched from this one game. Ezio, arguably the greatest protagonist. I wouldn't even argue it, he is. And there was a lot more side content added, customization, being able to buy weapons, the level design, the map, having different cities throughout the game. However, it is slightly outdated now. Not for me, because I've been playing it my whole life, but for all of these new fans that are trying to find love for the franchise as much as we do, it's just not working for them. The game's from 2009 now, but despite all of that, it is still my favourite game of the franchise. So for that reason, it is going in Master Assassin. Now, on to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Perfect sequel, carried on where it left off. The new mechanics with the Assassin's recruits, the mixing with the hand cannon with the sword, with the knives, with the throwing knives, brilliant. The only issues with the game that I have personally is that it's only set in Rome. The map is big, but I liked having the contrast in the second game. However, I also think the antagonists were weaker. They should have got better, but they got a little bit weaker. Obviously, Rodrigo Borgia is still in the game. Cesare, I don't really like. But despite the very minimal negatives, I still think it should go in the Master Assassin tier. And next, we have Assassin's Creed Revelations. Perfect end to the trilogy. Beautiful story. Going back to the roots at the beginning and the end, and then going to Turkey with Istanbul, going back to the old memories of Altair as well as Ezio's story. The only negatives that I have is the tower defense missions got really stale really quickly. The first few I enjoyed, but as I kept doing them, I didn't really like them. The antagonists were also a little bit weaker, not to the point where it made it a bad game at all. So for that reason, I'll be putting it in full sync above the first game. Next up, we have Assassin's Creed 3. Complete gameplay overhaul, the parkour was upgraded, the combat was refined, there's even more side content, more customization, there was different outfits, there was a lot more weapons. It was what birthed the naval combat as well. The only things that I think the game lacks is Connor is quite a stoic protagonist. Doesn't show much emotion other than anger, so it's kind of hard to relate to him or to feel sorry for him in a way, other than actually seeing what happens yourself. And the excessive amount of hunting missions to do with the frontier, the excessive hunting, trying to do everything. So for that reason, I'm going to put it at the bottom of full sync. Next up, we have Assassin's Creed Liberation. It's great for a PS Vita port. I haven't played the PS Vita version, I've only played the HD, but it's great for a port. It does feel like a PS Vita game or a handheld game, but it's good enough to play on console. The environment's beautiful, New Orleans, and the mechanic to change your outfits according to the mission. I absolutely love that. Great thought. Never seen it in a game before, never seen it since. However, the story was quite meh. Not too much to it. Too short. I can appreciate it was a handheld game, but The performance wasn't great. I haven't played it in a while, so I don't know if it's been made better, but it just was not great at all when I played it. I mean, it kept crashing and so on, just frame drops. And I could be wrong, but there was no modern day in this whatsoever. I mean, I understand it because Desmond died in 3, but literally no modern day whatsoever. And I think that's a huge part of the Assassin's Creed franchise. So for that reason, I will be putting it in subpar. Now it's for the one that everyone's been waiting for, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So this is arguably the best. It's between Assassin's Creed 2 and Black Flag, but for me it's 2, hence why it's the top. But Black Flag is amazing, it's perfect. Can't say anything bad about it. It's unique, it doesn't feel like a reskin of 3, even though the mechanics are somewhat the same. The naval combat, it was revolutionary. Even more customization, having to hunt skins of animals like iguanas on random islands and things like that. And the story, it's a redemption story, but it's also an origin story. The only thing that I have that's a problem in this game is the start of the modern day being so bad that I don't remember, nor do I want to remember any of it. But despite all of that, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is going in the Master Assassin tier above Brotherhood. Up next, we have Assassin's Creed Rogue. Now, this might be a bit controversial, but I love Rogue. I think it's one of the best out of the whole franchise. Although you're playing as a Templar instead of an Assassin, that doesn't bother me. I like seeing both sides of the coin. But Shay's reasoning swayed me alone. It's a fresh story, being a Templar that was an assassin, but thought the assassins were the bad guys. He's not a full-blown Templar, he's not evil. He just doesn't do everything the same as what they do in the previous game. Back to a shorter length, I think Black Flag was a tad on the longer side, not as long as the ones that we're going to get to later. I love games that are slightly on the shorter end. Reminds me of when I was younger, every game was short. I absolutely love this game, but it's got its downsides. It is a Black Flag reskin, and the modern day was basically nowhere to be seen. But I'm going to take the bias out of this one a little bit, and I'm going to put Assassin's Creed Rogue into mid. Now, we're on to the next generation of consoles, Assassin's Creed Unity. This game was absolutely broken at launch, but I'm not going to talk about that. I only played it once when it was broken. I played it a few years later when it was okay. It's a complete overhaul for the next gen, which is fresh. You don't want a series that's been going on this long that feels the same every single game, which is one of the gripes I had with Rogue feeling like a Black Flag reskin. I can appreciate Rogue was on the old gen the same time as Unity released on the new gen though. So they were still using the same engine. The biggest graphical upgrade, purely because it is on next gen, but even then the graphics still hold up today. Beautiful setting, France. Now for the negatives. I think Arno is one of the worst protagonists in the whole franchise. Very, very boring. His story gets very stale halfway through. It's just at least this, at least that. And the biggest mistake Ubisoft done with this game, co-op. Doing co-op missions. It didn't work, especially with a game that was broken at launch. It just didn't work properly. It wasn't good. It was boring. You had a select few that was beneficial, and even then they got boring really quick. So for that reason, I will be putting Unity into mid. Now we're on to Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It's the first dual protagonist of the franchise. I think it might have been the first dual protagonist game I ever played in this sense of the way. Victorian London. I'm from the UK myself, so Victorian London, it's one of my favourite historical periods, along with the setting of a later game we'll be speaking about. The historical figures in this game, there was, I think, the most out of any game so far. As someone that loves history, it was an honour to be able to witness Ubisoft's attempt at teaching me history. We had Queen Victoria, Charles Dickens, Charles Darwin, Florence Nightingale, Alexander Graham Bell, and Karl Marx. I mean, that's 5 or 6, I think I just counted, in one game. Most of them have missions that you have to do for them, and I think that's great. Now for the negatives. combat, I think, is the worst in the series up to this point. I didn't like the whole... It felt like hand-to-hand combat the whole time. There was no swords or anything. It was just canes, brass knuckles, and kukuris. Very boring story. I didn't like the whole story with it. I mean, there was a few good parts, and it just felt flat most of the time. And it felt like a Unity reskin, but worse somehow. So this is a new low in the video. For Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I will be putting it in desynced. Now, I understand there are 3 other Chronicle games, but I will be ranking them all the same at the same time because they're all basically the same game but reskins. I can appreciate they were a placeholder in between games. Obviously, they're in between Syndicate in 2015 and Origins in 2017. So we're so far removed from any of the formulas before. It gives you extra lore, but nothing too crazy. I understand that I think it's China. That protagonist is in the little animated lineage, I think it's called, the Ezio trilogy, where it's actually the end of Ezio's life. I can appreciate that, but side scrollers aren't for me. These games just aren't for me. So personally, I'll be putting all 3 of them in desynced. Now, we're on to the RPG era. Assassin's Creed Origins. Bayek was the best protagonist since Shay in Rogue, in my opinion. Egypt is my favourite historical period. So playing a game set in Egypt, most of all an Assassin's Creed game, by name value only, really. I was loving it. I was mid-teenager when this came out. So I spent all day, every day for like a week straight playing this game. It was a great origin story, hence the name. I like the whole eagle skull on the ground left the mark of the Assassin's Creed. But on the other hand, the gameplay felt sort of like a mix between The Witcher 3 and the Dark Souls ripoff. I love The Witcher 3, but I'm not a Souls fan at all. So it kind of fell flat for me. I'm not really a big RPG guy, especially when it's these sort of RPGs. I like my Horizon Zero Dawns and The Witcher 3, Mass Effect. I like them sort of RPGs, not ones that stem from a franchise that aren't RPGs. And just to add the cherry on top, the modern day. I don't like Layla as a character, so her story just falls flat. But despite all of that, I'm not a hater of Origins. I'm just not a big fan. So for that reason, I'll be putting Assassin's Creed Origins in mid. Okay, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The combat's been refined from Origins. The combat is really good, despite it not being an Assassin's Creed style of combat again. The open world might be the best in the scale of a game that we've had so far. Not necessarily Assassin's Creed open world, but just as a general game open world, probably the best so far. But that's about all I can say that's good about this game. The furthest removed from Assassin's Creed the whole franchise has seen, not even so far, still to this day. The naval combat, it was so bad. I've tried avoiding it as much as possible. The story, the first ending, I really didn't like it. I didn't even feel like the game was about to finish, but there was no mission after that. And it took a DLC, the Origin of the First Blade, or I can't remember what it's called. It took that to reconnect the game with the franchise. So I will be deducting points for that. As a result of that, I will be putting Assassin's Creed Odyssey into subpar. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. One main thing I got out of playing this game, I genuinely felt like a Viking. It's a great Viking experience. I will say that. The hidden ones are present in the game, so it is still sort of connected, more connected than Odyssey was to the Assassin's Creed formula. But Eivor has no ties to it, only through Basim and Hytham. But the negatives weigh this game down a lot. Lean too heavy into the RPG stuff. It felt like a Witcher knockoff, not just a little bit. It did feel like a Witcher knockoff, but also a bit like God of War. Way too long and bloated. It's a 60-hour game. If you're not going to fill it up with grey content like a Red Dead Redemption 2 or The Witcher 3, don't bother making it that long. Just, what's the point? It's just way too repetitive. You go to some place, you do a few missions, you do this massive battle, and then bang, on to the next and do the same thing. It is the most repetitive since the first game. And the first game was literally go to this area, do 3 things, the same 3 things, go to talk to someone, you've got a target, kill them, and then rinse and repeat. Somehow this game is done worse than that. So for that reason, I'll be putting Assassin's Creed Valhalla into subpar, but I'll be putting it above Odyssey. Okay, the penultimate game, Assassin's Creed Mirage. It was the first step in the right direction, back to the roots of Assassin's Creed. A part of me feels like they added a filter to make it look like the first Assassin's Creed game, just for nostalgic purposes, to try and add points. Didn't work for me, I didn't like the filter on. The stealth made a return. The stealth is actually really good in this game. I did really like the stealth, and I did approach most of the things with stealth. But that goes on to my next point. The combat is terrible in this game. I don't like the swordplay whatsoever. Parry system is so easy. It takes next to no skill to learn the combat in this game. It's so easy, it's so lackluster. So is the story. The story is also lackluster. Not a big fan of the story, and it's way too short. I think I platinumed this game in less than 25 hours, and that was me taking my time. But even for a DLC turned into a standalone game, it's still too short. I'm glad they've added a DLC, but it's just a bit too little too late. I mean, it came out 2 years ago now. But despite all of that, I am a massive advocate for Mirage being a good step in the direction of the old games and not following in the footsteps of the Witcher knockoffs. So for that reason, I'll be putting Mirage in mid. And now, the final game, the most up-to-date game in the franchise, Assassin's Creed Shadows. I quite liked Shadows at first. The dual protagonist was good. It didn't feel like I was playing the same character twice like it did with Syndicate. It returned the whole story with the Assassins and Templars, which is all I was asking for since Origins. And they are constantly supporting this game, which I'm very surprised about. There's been loads of updates, fixes. They actually listen to the people now. When I played this game, there wasn't even a follow road on the horse or follow destination or whatever it's called. But they've added that since. Obviously, they had the free DLC, which I'm happy about because the game got delayed by ages. So we deserved something like that. The story, on the other hand, was very generic. It's not bad as such. It was just generic. Sort of like, I haven't played Ghost of Yotai, but from what I'm hearing, it's the same sort of thing with that. It's very generic, like a generic revenge story. And we've got too many of them already, and most of them aren't done well. This one's done okay. I haven't got too much bad to say about it other than it's generic. The difficulty of this game was ramped up quite a bit, for me at least. Yasuke, you can brute force anything, but I felt myself going through the whole game brute forcing with Yasuke, which I didn't want to do, so I thought I'd try out Naoe. But Naoe's combat is so weak compared to Yasuke, because I understand she's meant to be the stealth between the two of them. It lacked any sort of life for me with Naoe. I understand the stealth, but in this game the stealth felt a bit off. It is good, and they've added a lot with the lights and the proning, but something just felt a bit off. Speaking of Naoe, the voice actor for Naoe, I don't want to hate on anyone. I'm not a voice actor. I can't say anything. But it just felt a bit emotionless. Yasuke's voice actor, I think he's done a really good job. This is English voice actor, by the way. Naoe's English voice actor, just not a fan of it. It felt a bit like Connor from Assassin's Creed 3, a bit one-dimensional. With all that said, I do really like Shadows. I've struggled getting back into it because of how difficult the combat was. Maybe I'll do a completely fresh playthrough, not a New Game Plus, and work on it a bit. With all that said, I'm going to put Shadows into full sync. I think it's a really good game. Thank you very much for watching. That has been my Assassin's Creed tier list. Drop a comment on any opinions you think I've got wrong, or any other opinions you have. I'd love to hear it, and I'll catch you in the next.